it's easier to react in anger. It's just because it's like the dog that's like barking at the neighbor dog. You know, what do? Just puff up. Like I'm angry. I'm big. And that's the. But really, if that dog is in the same fence, that's
Yeah.
not the reaction they would have. They'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, it would be docile. And so, like for me, that's kind of what anger has been. It's like this big puff up emotion of, okay, I don't want to feel this vulnerable shit. I just want to be big right now. Let me feel big.
My prince and I are doing keto, but he keeps falling off the wagon.
It's fine, babe. I got this Dragon Burger protein style.
It's not fine. There are hidden sugars and carbs in there.
Oh man, this is hard.
Keto doesn't have to be hard. Just use Keto Chow, the magical meal replacement that makes keto easy. Each delicious shake provides 1/3 of your daily nutrients, meaning it's more than just a snack. It's a complete keto meal. Once upon a time, you clicked here and were happy with Keto Chow ever after.
Jimmy loves ketochow.com.
That is such a good point, that there's a release that comes from anger, especially if it's the screaming, yelling,
Yes.
muscles tightening, rah, kind of anger. That yes, it's destructive to the people around, but for that person in that moment, whatever the emotions and feelings are that led to that, it is somewhat of a release. Is it a healthy release? No, not always. In Jesus's case, it was. You need to get their attention. Oh, Jesus went rogue on us. So, but for most people, and especially if the anger turns to violence, which is what happened with my dad beating me, and then that's what he saw from his dad, that anger that he had and bestowed it on my dad. So yeah, so anger can be both a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes that release does not provide relief. It can for a lot of people, but not everybody.
I definitely want to get back to what you're saying about what I'm feeling, but that what you said about anger not being a release for some people, because when they get angry and they blow up, they feel that tiny moment of relief, and then it is immediately guilt. And guilt is another one of those vulnerable emotions. You don't want to feel guilty. You don't want to feel upset that you've done this. And so you go right back to anger, and you just kind of live in anger.
Oh, you're describing the pastor experience again, because when I said shut up, it was in anger, and I immediately felt that in my chest, guilt. And then I sat down, and the guilt turned back to anger again, like I was angry at myself. Why did I do that? And then, of course, everybody's looking at me and not wanting to talk to me. And at that moment, I needed a friend. And I think it was about 10 minutes they let me just sit there, calm down, and somebody said, "You okay?" So that was cool. But I was dealing with a lot of shiz at that time in my life. So
Yes. But back to what you said a while ago and asking like what I've been feeling and how it has become anger, and I've had to be very careful to not let, like, obviously just so sad. I have been so sad. Now, it's not quite the same, you know, like it was with you for your brother. You know, he was young. Mr. Chris was 71, and he had lived the fullest life. The man has built buildings and gone to Belize and been a travel nurse and been to all 50 states. And he lived such a full life. I could go on and on and on. So, like, there's not that. I don't feel like he was taken too soon. You know, there's not that. There's not anger there. But it's just like, damn, man, I finally get my life together. I have a house and my family, and he watched me go from this angry, bitter teenager to who I am now. And I'm like, he's not going to be here for the next part. And, like, that is just gut-wrenching. And then he's basically like a dad to me, and so his son, Lee, is like a brother to me. And Lee was just kind of saying, this sucks, man. I'm going to get married and he's not going to be here. This is going to suck. And so it's really just thinking about all the things he's not going to be here for. And that's where, like, I just get so angry. I think about Christmas was his favorite time of the year. I am not prepared for Christmas yet. Like, I got to mentally work myself up. Yes.
you're getting there now. Just thinking about all the things, and I was concerned about you talking about him too much at the today, so we're going to move on. The point is, those feelings can turn to anger. And literally, guys, any negative feeling can turn to anger. Let's not pretend like disappointment can't turn to anger. Frustration, anger. Obviously, sadness can turn to anger. But the only thing that doesn't is like exhilaration. You're not going to be angry from exhilaration. You're not going to be angry from happy. You're not going to be angry from positive things. But and I'm even like thinking out loud, all the feelings and emotions, most of them are negative or on that trend towards negative. Isn't all the way negative, but it could trend towards negative that makes you mad and angry. So yeah, it's.
Well, I feel like all emotions are like an evil playing field, like even playing field. They're all even, and like happy isn't good and sad bad. Like that's like emotions are literally just neutral.
Yeah.
It's what you do with them.
Yeah.
And so if you're frustrated, be frustrated, but don't act out of frustration.
Let's dig into that, because that's what people do. They just naturally go to whatever is comfortable and normal as a reaction, and thus the anger comes out. How do you get someone from frustration to not angry? What do they do with that?
Oh, goodness. That's a loaded question. I mean, it really just depends on the situation. So I'm a story kind of person. So if my child, for example, has done something that has frustrated me and I just want to yell.
Like Alma Grace jumping on the bed the other day and she already has a broken arm.
Yes.
Mama was frustrated that day.
I was very frustrated that day. And so, like, I wanted to yell and I wanted to scream and, like, are you freaking kidding me? You've already broken an arm. Get down. What are you doing? Hold on. Oh, my Grace, it's not a smart idea for you to do that. Now, that was like an immediate. I could bring that back in. However, the other day, what?
I was going to say, how did you do that? How do you get from that inclination to want to be angry, but then choose not to be angry and be calm and loving?
Sad. This is sad. You want to know how I did that? I remember what my parents did to me. I remember all the times that I was just playing on the bed and it would immediately, they would scream at me or yell at me or make me feel like shit. And it could have been resolved so much calmer. And I remember the years, all of the anger that I dealt with for years. I don't want my kids to do that. I don't want my kids to have to go through that. I don't want my kids at 28 having terrible relationships with their parents because their parents live in anger all the time. Like I don't want them to deal with all the pain that I have. And so if I'm frustrated, I'm not going to lash out at my children. You know, they're my babies. I don't want to do that. I don't want to hurt them.
My mama still calls me her baby, and I'm 49, so you're always going to have them as your babies.
Yes, they're my babies. But like the other day, it was after the funeral, and we were all kind of sitting around and laughing, and my kids, can we put our feet in the pool? The pool is gross. The pool is nasty. Like, the water's clean, but like the pool part was dirty. And I was like, yeah, sure, put your feet in. Well, what do kids do? When you don't set like a firm boundary, they're like, hey, we're going to put our knees in. Hey, we're up to our waist. Hey, we're all the way in the water. We're still holding on to the rail, though. The ramp, the ladder. And the next thing I see is them like around the pool, like holding the side of the pool, like walking around the pool. And I was like, oh, no, out, get out. No. This has escalated from feet in the pool to whole bodies. And I could just see one of y'all slipping on the green, nasty part of the pool and falling into water. No. Mom says, get out. So, of course, one was like, oh, man. And the other one's like, no. No. What? We're in the South, okay? You can't say that down here. Like, what? And I reacted, and that was okay. I didn't yell or scream. I was just like, hey, excuse me.
Well, you didn't
not safe.
You didn't jump to anger right away.
Yes.
You them that you were giving them steps that were gentle. You were doing very good, gentle parenting until it got to the point where one was defiant. They're the ones that got angry. Saying no was an angry reaction to, I'm frustrated. I want to do what I want to do, and mama's not letting me. That was them being angry. So you being firm back was not necessarily anger back, but I'm going to match your energy with what I'm feeling because I know what's best for you, and I don't want to see you slip on the green stuff.
Yes.
Well, there. I don't know exactly how you responded, but yes, that is that's a Jesus there that.
Oh, it was cute.
In a negative way. What?
It was cute how I reacted because I was sitting in the chair and I was watching from afar, and all of the adults are kind of sitting on the deck watching the kids, and she said no, and I jumped off. I said, "Oh, okay, it's time for Mama to get up," and my husband was there, and she said no again, and so he had to pull her out and said, "Okay, we're going to calm down, then we're going to have a really good conversation about what just happened here." And so we explained to her, listen, Mama's all about you asking me questions. Like, if you were in the pool and you said, why? I would have answered, I don't feel it's safe for you to be in there. But you just like, no.
Oh, right.
And like, I'm okay with defiance. Like, I'm okay with that, by the way. I'm okay, and I honor that, hey, she wanted to be in the pool. That's cool. But yeah, we just had to deal. That was a little situation where there was some underness of the anger, and the other adults were like looking at me like, you about to spank her? I know you about to spank her.
Don't tell me who it is, but I know who it was. You don't tell me exactly who your defiant one is. We'll leave it right there. Right? You know who I'm talking about.
She that middle child.
Yes. Well, I want to bring up, because you were talking about earlier your older parents having the anger issues still now, and they're in their 40s. Like, this is the thing about anger. When you let it out, it keeps wanting to come out, and it becomes a habit at some point. Rather than dealing with those feelings and emotions in the moment, you lash out in anger, and then it just becomes this convenient release for all emotions that are negative, that you made negative. And so there's people going all the way to their dying breath, still angry about things in their life. And I'm going, you could have dealt with that years ago. What do you do with your life? You spit it all away when you you stay angry all the time. And we know people like that in our lives.
And it makes me so sad, Jimmy. Like, these people that are in my life, or the people that I've talked to who message me on Instagram and on Facebook, and I just talk to them and they're just so angry. And I'm like, ooh, honey, I've been there. I have been there. But I wasted so many years of my life being bitter. Like, I refuse to live there. And that doesn't mean that I don't get angry. Guys, I deal with a lot of anger still. But I know, yes, what you're saying.
If your Monday show was called Bitter with Brittany, nobody would watch. Instead of Better with Brittany.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I lived my life bitter and angry and hurt for so long. I didn't have meaningful relationships. They were all surface level because I had to be surface level. I couldn't be vulnerable with people. They were going to hurt me, you know? And so it's anger takes away every good thing possible. No one wants to be around you when you're angry. Like, very few people want to deal. And like, even I know this. When I get angry, I tell you, oh, I need a minute. I got to calm this down. Let me deal with this before I come back.
You know what's interesting to me, and I'm thinking about my dad who abused me. He would be angry and have anger with me, but then he could turn it off and be charming with other people. So his outside persona did not match his behind closed doors persona. That means it's a conscious choice. And this is something I wanted to bring out here today, that this anger isn't always a reaction, because he chose, and other people do this as well, chose the situation he wanted to be angry in, and chose not to be angry in other situations.